One day in 1830, the French writer Victor Hugo got a big surprise. But not a positive surprise. 12 months earlier, he had promised a new book to his publishers. But during those 12 months, Victor Hugo distracted himself in hobbies and other side projects that were completely unrelated. All of that lasted up until the moment the publishers were sick of his delays. The publishers gave him an ultimatum. Victor Hugo would have to write and finish the book he promised within 6 months, and if he failed to do so, the publishers would cut his funding. Victor Hugo, for some strange reason, was suddenly very motivated to write his famous book. He locked himself in his room and asked an assistant to take all his clothes away, so he could not go out anymore and had no other choice but to write his book. 6 months later, he could deliver the book he promised to his publishers, and it was none other than The Hunchback of Notre Dame, one of his most famous books. And I don't know anything about you, but I am sure you can relate to this story. You're not necessarily writing a book, maybe you want to quit that nasty habit like smoking, or you want to lose some weight, or you've been wanting to launch this famous side business for a while, but for some reason, you're not acting on it. For some reason, you're not making it happen. Most people would call that procrastination, but in my opinion, procrastination is a little bit different, because procrastination is pushing something to later down the road. You decided to do this specific thing, for example, I don't know, cleaning the dishes, but you're not doing it when you're supposed to do it. You push it to later in your day, but you ultimately do it. The issue we're talking about here, the issue that Victor Hugo faced, the issue that we all face, is deeper than procrastination. It is called acracia or acracy. Acracy is a deeper problem than procrastination, because with procrastination, you decide to do something, but you do it later. With acracy, you know you should be doing something, but you decide not to do it. Just like Victor Hugo with his famous book. He knew he should be writing his book instead of fooling around, but he could not decide himself to execute his task. Or people who want to quit smoking. They know they should quit smoking, it would be good for them, but they cannot decide themselves to do it. That is acracy. Acracy is a lesser known cousin of procrastination, and as you can see, it's a bit different. And also, acracy tends to touch bigger things in our lives, such as quitting a bad habit or writing a book, whereas procrastination usually touches smaller things in life, such as cleaning the dishes, as I said before, or filling a tax report. Can anyone relate? All that goes to say that procrastination and acracy are not the same thing. And in my opinion, since they are not the same thing, the remedies to get over them is a bit different. And in this video, I would like to share with you a few perspectives about acracy. But first, I would like to share with you guys one personal experience I had with acracy and what I did to get over it. So, I was a victim of acracy a few years ago by the end of my studies. I was doing an internship, and since I was doing that internship, I had to deliver to my university an internship thesis, and I was really not motivated. And I realized I was pushing this later and later. I could not decide really to put my head into this internship thesis and just do it. As long as I didn't deliver my thesis, I could not graduate, and I really didn't want to drag this thesis along the way for too long, you know? So at some point, I decided to do something about it. I took a decision. I decided I was going to deliver my thesis by the end of the year, and I also promised my university I was going to deliver my thesis by the end of the year. And if I didn't do that, I would be in serious trouble with my university. Just like Victor Hugo, who needed an ultimatum to move himself, I also needed an ultimatum. The only difference being that I kind of gave this ultimatum to myself. It was really hard and really difficult, because I took this decision by the end of September or early October, if I remember correctly, which meant that I had only a few months to write this entire thesis, which was really short when you consider the fact that some students take an entire year to write this thesis. I had to rush, it was stressful and I had to rush, but at the end of the day, I could deliver as promised by the end of the year, and I got a very good grade on my thesis. So it was a happy ending, and also this entire experience taught me more about acracy and what can be done about acracy. And that is exactly what I'm going to share with you right now. I think the first step to beat acracy is to set clear goals, and also why you want to accomplish this specific goal. In other words, finding an emotionally compelling reason why to accomplish this specific goal. Because I think that for us, it's very difficult to motivate yourself to accomplish something if you don't really have a goal, a personal emotionally compelling reason why to accomplish this goal. For example, if you want to lose weight, it's not going to be very easy if you just say, yeah, I'm going to lose weight because that's what society wants me to do, or just because it's good for me. It really has to go a bit deeper and a really emotionally compelling reason why to lose weight. Because I will look better, I will feel better about myself, I will live longer, etc. Finding that reason that really puts your soul on fire is gonna make it 10 times easier than if you just say, yeah, I'm gonna lose weight because just gotta do it. And also, it happens also very often that we have goals that we did not choose, that are not our own initiative. For example, myself with the thesis. I didn't want to do this thesis, you know. If I had the choice, I would not have done it. It was like put on me by the university to do that thesis. But no other choice, you have to do it, and it happens to all of us. Also with Victor Hugo with his famous book. So when that happens and somebody just gives you a goal to accomplish, even though it's not your own initiative, it's also important to find an emotionally compelling reason to do it, even though it's difficult because somebody else gave you that task. For example, with my thesis, I found an emotionally compelling reason to do that thesis. I said, if I complete that thesis, I will be able to graduate, I will be able to move to another city I like better, I will be able to have a better job, a better high-paying job where I will be able to do a lot of amazing things with that money, for example, aviation, or launch this YouTube channel, and so on. So it's very important, even if a goal is assigned to you, to find an emotionally compelling reason for yourself. Really finding a reason why it benefits you to do this specific thing. But as you can imagine, having an emotionally compelling reason why to do stuff is not nearly enough. It's only the first step, because we all have goals for which we have an emotionally compelling reason, but we fail to do them. We're still the victims of acracy. For example, quit smoking. Lots of people have an emotionally compelling reason why to quit smoking. It's pretty obvious. It's to live longer, have a better life, being in better health in general, etc. But we still fail to act. So that leads me to the second point, the second tactic to overcome acracy, which is using emotional leverage. In life, just like in physics, using a leverage can help you tremendously. And what I mean by using emotional leverage is, first of all, being aware that us, as human beings, we do more to avoid pain than we do to gain pleasure. So, taking back the example of quitting smoking, right? You have an emotionally compelling reason why to quit smoking. It's all the pleasure part. It's nice, but it's not enough. To really use that leverage, you also have to focus on all the bad things. All the bad things that will happen to you if you do not quit smoking. You will probably have a lot of diseases. You're going to have an ugly smoker voice. You're going to have really bad teeth, bad breath. You're going to die probably 20 years younger than you would die normally, etc. Really focusing on all the painful things that would happen to you if you fail to act. Also myself with my thesis, I really started taking action when I could visualize all the bad things that were going to happen to me if I failed to do this thesis. I really thought, gee, if I fail to do that thesis, I will not be able to graduate, I will not be able to have the kind of jobs I want, I will have to continue doing internships that are very low paid or unpaid at all, or I will have to keep being in that city that is not really my dream city. I will still have to continue doing paperwork with the university, I will drag that thesis with me for years potentially. Blah! So really, when I thought about all of those negative things that were going to happen to me if I failed to do that thesis, I got all the motivation in the world to just keep going, to just take action and do the thesis. And exactly the same thing happened with Victor Hugo. Really, he started moving his ass when he saw all the negative things that were going to happen to me if he didn't write his book. He realized that if he didn't write this book, they would cut his funding completely and he would be, I don't know, end up homeless or under financial stress. It's only when he could visualize all the negative things, all the pain that would come to him if he failed to do this book, that he started taking action and that he did it. So remember, when you're the victim of acracy, really look at all the beautiful things that will happen to you if you act, and all the negative things that will happen to you if you fail to act. And that's how you use this leverage. Now, the third tactic to beat acracy is to use deadlines and plannings to your advantage, because that's the way the world works. The world works only with deadlines. I mean, try to do anything or Ask somebody to do anything without a deadline and you will see it will absolutely never happen. Or it will happen very, very, very far away into the future. The world works with deadlines. And that includes you. So set a deadline with a clear objective of whatever you want to accomplish, and also promise other people you will do that. Talk about it to other people, because other people will expect you to do this specific thing, right? And if you fail to do it, you will look like a moron to all those people, which is an additional pain, which will give you even more emotional leverage. The prospect of looking bad in front of other people will motivate you even more to take action. And also, another detail, try to set a deadline as short as possible, really, in a couple of months or a couple of weeks or a couple of days, depending on what you're doing. Really, take the shortest deadline possible, because the problem is, if you take a big deadline, guess what? It's going to take you exactly this time to accomplish this goal. So, if you can do it in 1 year, you can also do it in 6 months. Just like with the case with Victor Hugo. He could have accomplished his book in 12 months, he failed to do it, they put another deadline of only 6 months, and in 6 months he could still do it and he could do a masterpiece. So that goes to show you that the deadline is really going to define when you accomplish something. And another detail that is important to make it more achievable is to set smaller sub-deadlines. What do I mean by that? Is that you take this big objective that you have, set a deadline for it, and then take smaller steps with sub-deadlines. For example, you want to lose 10 kilograms in 1 year, to say something. All right, so the first month you take it, because losing 10 kilograms takes a while, you break it into smaller achievable steps. In the first month, you get your gym membership. You go 4 times a week into the gym, etc., and you lose maybe 1 kilogram. And then you go for the next deadline and the next one and the next one. Really, the idea is to take something that is really big and cut it into small little pieces, just like a big stack. You don't eat a big stack just like once. You just cut it into little pieces and eat it little by little, piece by piece. The same thing for big objectives. And finally, the fourth tip to beat acracy, and in my opinion the best tip to beat acracy, is to get accountability. Getting an accountability partner or getting into a mastermind. Because an accountability partner is going to observe you. They're going to see what you're doing and they're going to give you a lot of pain, right? If you fail to accomplish those small little steps that we discussed earlier. If you decided that you're going to quit smoking, if you have an accountability partner that is there to point out when you slack and start smoking again, and maybe you have to give them a fine, you have to give them money every time you fail, is going to help you tremendously to accomplish your objective, right? Because I think one of the big components of acracy is the problem with short-term gratification, right? Us as humans, we do not like waiting for gratification to get our dopamine hit. We want our dopamine hit right now. So getting an accountability partner that is going to give you a hell lot of pain if you get gratification right now, you're hacking this entire short-term gratification for long-term gratification. Because if you have to pay money every time you dwell or indulge into short-term gratification, is going to remove all that gratification, right? So this whole accountability partner is going to help you to hack the short-term gratification problem. Victor Hugo also had an accountability partner. This accountability partner was none other than the publishers, because those publishers were going to give him a hell lot to pay if he indulged into short-term gratification and failed to act by simply cutting his funding. And since Victor Hugo was observed by this accountability partner, he did what he had to do and published his famous book on time. So that, guys, were my 4 tips to beat acracy. And every time you feel you're being the victim of acracy again, think again about the story of Victor Hugo.